The world is on edge, holding its breath as a new crisis erupts in the heart of the Middle East. In capitals across the globe, leaders gather in urgent meetings, their faces etched with concern. The sense of unease is unmistakable, as the international community braces for what could become a turning point in modern history. Iran has shattered a fragile peace, sending shockwaves through a region already marked by decades of conflict and uncertainty. Explosions rock cities, and the scars of violence are visible in the streets. The world watches as the situation escalates, fearing that the violence could spill over borders and ignite a much larger confrontation. In a move that stunned diplomats and experts alike, Iran has abandoned the international rules that once governed its nuclear program. Inspectors from the International Atomic Energy Agency are left with limited access, raising fears that Iran could be racing toward a nuclear weapon. The global community is left scrambling for answers, as the threat of nuclear proliferation looms larger than ever. Former President Donald Trump, never one to shy away from controversy, has stepped back into the spotlight. He warns of a new military plan ominously named Midnight Hammer 2.0. His words echo across news networks, fueling speculation about what the United States might do next. The world remembers the unpredictability of his previous term, and now, with tensions at a breaking point, his return adds a volatile new element to the crisis. The stakes could not be higher. The crisis has drawn in the world's biggest powers, each with their own interests and red lines. At emergency summits, leaders from the G7 and G20 debate their next moves, aware that any miscalculation could have catastrophic consequences. The unity of the international community is being tested as never before. The United States has responded with a show of military strength, deploying warships and troops to the region. Yet in a surprising twist, Iran's traditional allies, Russia and China, are now keeping their distance. Once vocal supporters, they are now wary of being drawn into a conflict that could spiral out of control. This leaves Iran more isolated than ever before. Once a key player in regional alliances, it now finds itself alone on the world stage. The diplomatic tables that once welcomed Iranian officials now sit empty, a stark symbol of the country's growing isolation. This marks a major shift in global politics, as old alliances fracture and new realities take shape. Behind closed doors, Russian and Chinese diplomats hold urgent discussions, weighing their options carefully. They fear that the crisis could unleash a dangerous storm, destabilizing not just the Middle East, but the entire world. Both nations are urging Iran to show restraint, hoping to avoid a conflict that could draw in superpowers and threaten global security. The tension is palpable, not just in diplomatic circles but in financial markets as well. World leaders are locked in frantic phone calls trying to prevent the crisis from spiraling further. Meanwhile, the New York Stock Exchange and markets around the globe are in turmoil, with investors fearing the economic fallout of a potential war. Red numbers flash across screens, signaling the uncertainty that now grips the world economy. The risk of a catastrophic mistake hangs over every decision. Military jets patrol the skies, missiles are readied, and generals huddle in war rooms, their faces tense with the weight of responsibility. One wrong move, one miscalculation, could trigger a conflict that engulfs the entire region and perhaps the world. The path forward is shrouded in uncertainty. Will there be more strikes, escalating the violence, or will Iran back down, seeking a way out of the crisis? Inside Iran, officials hold emergency meetings, while ordinary citizens take to the streets in protest, desperate to avoid another devastating war. The world watches as a countdown begins, each hour bringing us closer to either a diplomatic breakthrough or the outbreak of war. Soldiers prepare for battle and warships cut through the waves at dawn, ready for whatever comes next. The speed of events is frightening. Just days ago, diplomats were engaged in peace talks, searching for common ground. Now, those same diplomats are forced to consider military options, as armored vehicles mobilize under the cover of darkness, and the United Nations scrambles to respond. The return of Donald Trump to the political stage adds a new layer of unpredictability. His presence signals that the old rules may no longer apply, and that the world must prepare for a future where anything is possible. This is a new and dangerous chapter in a long and troubled story. The world stands at a crossroads, uncertain of what tomorrow will bring. As night falls over Tehran, the storm clouds gather, and the fate of millions hangs in the balance. The crisis began with a series of precise U.S. military strikes targeting Iran's most sensitive nuclear sites. In the dead of night, explosions lit up the desert, and the world watched as satellite images revealed the aftermath, smoldering ruins where once stood the heart of Iran's nuclear ambitions. The operation was swift, calculated, and left no doubt about American military reach. The message was unmistakable: the U.S. can reach any target, anywhere, at any time. The Pentagon's press conference echoed with confidence as officials declared the mission a success. But beneath the surface, a new and far more troubling question began to emerge. In the chaos that followed, inspectors discovered a chilling mystery. 900 pounds of enriched uranium had vanished. Storage racks once filled with radioactive material now stood empty, and security footage offered no clear answers. The disappearance was not just a logistical error, it was a potential catastrophe. This amount of enriched uranium is enough to build several nuclear weapons, each capable of devastating a city. The stakes could not be higher. The world's worst fears seemed suddenly within reach. Did Iran manage to move the uranium before the strikes? Was it destroyed in the chaos? Or has it been hidden away in secret vaults waiting for the right moment? Intelligence agencies scrambled for answers, but the truth remained elusive. The missing uranium transformed an already serious problem into a global nightmare. News outlets around the world flashed urgent headlines, and diplomats gathered in emergency meetings, their faces etched with concern. The possibility of nuclear material falling into the wrong hands sent shockwaves through every capital. Iran, now reeling from the attack and accused of hiding nuclear material, refused to allow international inspectors access to its sites. The International Atomic Energy Agency was left waiting at locked gates, powerless to verify what had happened inside. The missing uranium is not just a regional issue, it's a direct threat to global security. The United Nations Security Council convened in an emergency session, as world leaders debated how to respond to this unprecedented danger. Intelligence agencies from around the world are now in a desperate race against time. Every hour that passes increases the risk that the uranium could be weaponized or sold on the black market. Surveillance teams pore over satellite images searching for any clue. The strikes were intended to cripple Iran's nuclear program, to buy time and reduce the threat. But instead, they have created a new and unpredictable danger, one that no one can fully control. With the uranium missing, trust between nations has evaporated. Every negotiation is fraught with suspicion, and every threat carries more weight. The world stands on edge, unsure of what will happen next. As governments scramble to respond, the consequences of this crisis are only beginning to unfold. The world is now living with the fallout, and the true cost of the missing uranium may not be known for years to come. In response to U.S. strikes, Iran withdrew from the NPT and expelled IAEA inspectors. This move mirrors North Korea's path to becoming a nuclear-armed state. Iran's withdrawal signals it won't play by international rules. Without inspectors, the world is flying blind, relying on satellite images and intelligence. This uncertainty breeds fear and suspicion, increasing the likelihood of military responses. Iran claims it's protecting sovereignty, but the world sees it as hiding intentions. The crisis escalates as Iran decides the rules no longer apply. This defiant stance complicates finding a peaceful solution. Iran expected support from Russia and China but faced a surprising step back. Moscow and Beijing called for calm and urged Iran to return to the nuclear treaty. Their self-interest drives this distance. An unstable Middle East is bad for business. A major war would disrupt oil supplies and create chaos on Russia's border. Russia and China signal there's a limit to their friendship. No support for a nuclear Iran. This leaves Iran isolated, facing caution from friends and enemies alike. Iran must rethink its strategy without assuming unconditional support. Donald Trump returns with a chilling message, Midnight Hammer 2.0. This military plan threatens to eliminate Iran's nuclear program entirely. It involves a massive operation to destroy Iran's nuclear infrastructure. Such an operation risks a wider war. Trump's warning is psychological warfare, pressuring Iran and signaling strength. The threat changes calculations for Iran, allies, and global powers. Trump's words reflect a real strategic option, adding danger to the crisis. 900 pounds of highly enriched uranium is missing. This material is weapons-grade, enough for several nuclear bombs. The missing uranium is a global security emergency, a ticking clock. Without inspectors, the material's location and status are unknown. Intelligence agencies race to find answers before it's too late. The missing uranium creates a dilemma: act now or wait for proof. The pressure to decide is immense, with military action as a looming option. The world faces the consequences of a failed system of treaties and inspections. The world stands at a dangerous crossroads: diplomacy or war. Diplomacy requires Iran to return to the treaty and account for the uranium. This path involves intense negotiation and trust building. Many countries, each with its own interests, are involved in this high-stakes game. The alternative is war, a major conflict with terrible consequences. A military conflict would involve massive airstrikes and regional chaos. The choice between these paths is not easy. The risks are real. The international community is divided on which path to take. The world waits to see which side will prevail. We are in a moment of profound uncertainty. As the first light of dawn breaks over a region long marked by conflict and hope, the world finds itself standing at a crossroads. The air is thick with tension, and every heartbeat echoes with the weight of what might come next. The fate of the Middle East, and perhaps the world, hangs in the balance. In the corridors of power, leaders gather, their faces etched with concern, knowing that the decisions made in these rooms will ripple across continents. On the streets, ordinary people go about their lives, but beneath the surface anxiety simmers, as everyone senses that history is being written in real time. The crisis over Iran's missing uranium has brought us to the edge. The disappearance of this material is not just a regional issue, it is a global alarm bell, ringing louder with each passing hour. The world's eyes are fixed on Iran, searching for answers, fearing the unknown. Every decision and action is being watched closely. Journalists scramble for updates, analysts pore over intelligence, and surveillance cameras capture every movement. The world's media is on high alert, broadcasting every development to millions who wait, breathless, for news. The world is holding its breath, waiting for a resolution. In city squares and government halls, people gather, united by uncertainty. The sense of anticipation is palpable, as if the entire planet is collectively pausing, hoping for a peaceful outcome. The missing uranium represents a ticking clock. Every second that passes without answers increases the risk, the fear, and the stakes. Time is running out, and the pressure mounts with each tick, as leaders race to prevent disaster. The threat of a nuclear-armed Iran looms over us. The possibility of new weapons entering the world stage is a shadow that stretches far beyond the region, casting doubt and fear into the hearts of millions. Military parades and satellite images serve as stark reminders of what is at stake. The world seeks leadership and a way out of this crisis. Diplomats and heads of state engage in urgent talks, searching for common ground, for a solution that can pull us back from the brink. The hope for peace rests on their shoulders, and the world watches, yearning for a breakthrough. Major powers are divided, and Iran is defiant. The international community is fractured, with alliances tested and old rivalries reignited. Iran stands firm, its leaders addressing the world with unwavering resolve, complicating efforts to find a peaceful path forward. The threat of Midnight Hammer 2.0 adds volatility. Military forces are on high alert, and the specter of a new operation looms large. The world teeters on the edge of escalation, as the possibility of conflict grows more real with every passing moment. Will diplomacy succeed, or will military action prevail? The answer remains uncertain. Behind closed doors, negotiators work tirelessly, aware that the outcome of their efforts could mean the difference between war and peace. The stakes could not be higher. This is a story about choices, with consequences for a generation. Young and old alike watch events unfold, knowing that the decisions made today will shape the world they inherit tomorrow. The weight of responsibility is immense, and the cost of failure unthinkable. The world is watching, and the countdown continues. Newsrooms buzz with urgency, and the clock inches closer to midnight. The sense of impending change is everywhere, as the world waits for a sign, any sign, of resolution. We can only hope leaders choose wisely. In these critical hours, wisdom, courage, and compassion are needed more than ever. The choices made now will echo for generations, shaping the destiny of nations and the lives of millions. The future hangs in the balance. As the sun sets on another day of uncertainty, we are reminded that the story is not yet written. The world holds its breath, waiting for the dawn of a new chapter, one that we all hope will bring peace, not peril.